Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here, and today is Techniques Tuesday, and I know it's probably going to be very late by the time this actually plays. It might even be Wednesday morning, but it's at least done, or it will be done. And today I have kind of a fun project to show you that I haven't done really before. I've seen it done before, but when I started to play with it today, oh my goodness, the doors have just opened wide up. So I thought I'd share this little technique with you. But first, I'm going to show you something on my desk. I don't know if you heard that noise or not. This is just a plastic container that came with mushrooms, just the white mushrooms to eat. And I use things like this all the time for collecting things and gathering things up on my, in my studio for whatever purpose. I don't really like plastic, but, they're just such handy little containers that I don't like to throw them away. And, so once they get abused after a while, then I can put them in the recycling bin, but I try to at least use them a little bit. So what I did here is I hot glued a little roll in here. And so this now becomes, and I put just 2 pieces of packing tape, like clear packing tape on the bottom, and that's to stick it to my desk. So it just sticks a little bit, and I can change the packing tape out each time as it, stops being sticky. And then if I really decide that this is working for me, I can probably put Velcro and Velcro it to the desk. But I thought this is a perfect way to gather up those little bits of garbage and keep my glue bottle upright. I have tried glue holders, but they get lost on my desk. I have tried, putting it in a glass jar, putting it in a glass cup. I knock them over. Everything seems to get buried on my desk. And so, same with the garbage. If I leave the garbage too close to my desk, because my desk is always overflowing with stuff, if I put the garbage too close to my desk, then I'm fishing in the garbage to find things that fell in it. And sometimes I think there's a few things that have gone into the garbage and gone to the landfill only because I didn't recognize that something fell in the garbage. In fact, I've lost the original lid to this bottle. I don't know where it went, and so I just used it this way now. I've tried putting the pins in there, but I take the pins out. I leave those on my desk. I forget to close the glue afterwards. Yeah, I'm going to have to remind myself before I throw out the garbage not to throw out my glue bottle. But I think that's pretty easy and obvious to do. But it also is a great way for me to catch a little bit of paper garbage and small things to keep my desk clear while I'm working. And then I can dump this once in a while, as I go along. So it's just my little method of madness for the day. And I just thought I would share this with you. So I'm just going to stick it to the corner of my desk. And hopefully now my glue will be good to go, because that annoyed me the other day. And so I needed some glue sticks for today, so I'm just going to throw these in that same container with the glue. And like I said, hopefully I won't throw those in the garbage when the day is done. So I have a project today that, like I said, I've seen it before. Someone gave me one, and I just never explored the possibilities. And I think the reason is I just forgot about it. And I was rooting through some ephemera piles that I had and sorting some ephemera. And I came across this thing and I went, oh, that's interesting. I should do something with that. But first of all, I'm going to say thank you, Diane. Yes, Diane. Diane with the letter E. I won't give her last name. She is a friend from Manitoba, and she gifted me this little piece. Now, what it is, it's the bottom of a paper bag, and the way it's folded allows you to put some tabs or some type of decoration on here to indicate that it pulls, and you pull it open. And so you can have this little hidden space with something, reasonably flat inside that will fit inside the base of the bag, and a decorative piece on the outside. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try that. And so I sat here yesterday and I played a little bit. I didn't decorate much because, you know, I had so many other things on the go, and I wanted to share it and show you the steps as we went along today. But I thought this is a fun little project. So this can easily be glued into your journal. I'm just going to use the front cover of the journal for now just to show you so that you can see the contrast and stuff. I hope you can see this. Yep. So I can just glue the whole the back on here onto a journal page, if this were a page, and then you would open it up and have a secret inside. But you can also just glue it from the top and bottom and have a belly band of sorts. You know, you could have it go this way depending on the size of your bag. You could glue it on 3 sides and have another pocket at the top. So there's lots of options. And then the decorating options is what blew my mind, because when I started to play and realized how much you can decorate on these things, that this is going to be way too much fun. It's going to take us a few weeks to get over this one, because I know once you start, you're going to want to play and play and play, because there's just so many possibilities. And like I said, I didn't finish anything because I thought I would share a lot of it with you here and work on it with you together. So you need, your basic items are, you need a lunch bag and then things to decorate it with. Now, she has circles on here that she's just cut out of, I guess, a heavier weight scrapbooking cardstock kind of weight. So you can use your dies and cut all different kinds of shapes. You could cut butterflies. You know, you've seen me make tabs with butterflies. You can make pull tabs. You can actually use tabs on here on the ends. You could use clusters. Oh, when I say it's endless, it really is endless. So the first thing you need, of course, is a brown paper bag. And you want to make sure that it's reasonably straight and flat, and that there are no edges sticking up. So that was one of the things I learned in doing this, is that not all brown paper bags are created equal. And this was just a generic bag of lunch bags. I got, this comes with 100. I don't think there's 100 here, but there's a lot of play possibilities in here. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to make this folder, and then we're going to play with the rest of the bag as well. So once you know that your bag is, like I just took my bone folder of the day and just made sure it was nice and flat on both sides. And so you can see where this flap comes up, and you see where the fold is from it being against the folded bottom part of the bag. That is where you're going to cut the bag. So just taking your scissors or a cutting tool of your choice, making sure you don't cut into this bag, but just cut along the edge of the bag. And the fold sometimes can give you be a guide for you, but you can also take a pen and mark it, or a pencil. And there you have your little, I don't know even what you would call this. You can't really say accordion. Flip out bag. I don't know. Flip out bag. How's that? Does that work? I don't know what you would call them. And I don't know that Diane is the first one to make them. She may have got them from somebody else. I really don't know the story behind it, Diane. I can't remember. I know you gave me one of these, and like I said, it just got stuck in my folder, and I never saw it again till today. But I did remember that you had given it to me. So anyway, when you open this up, it is not folded the way you want it to be. So you have to also fold it back the other way. So you have to fold your bag going this direction, so you have a fold on both sides. And you may have to do some trimming to it to make it sit nicely and look nicely, but that can be adjusted as you go along. So once you have a fold on both sides, you just take your fingers and hold those down. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I just took my finger and I just kind of stirred around in there till I could sort of see the triangle forming. So if that makes sense to you, I don't know if there was another method, but I'm using my finger to kind of stir it into the position. And so the point is going to be right where the bag opens up. If I lift this up, Should be able to see. So that is where the point is going to be. So that is your starting point to folding this down. So your point is in the line of where the bag opens, and you just line it up and fold it down. And you want to use your bone folder again and really flatten it, because that is the key to making these, is to make sure that they are really flat. And then turning it around, again, I just kind of took my finger and stirred it up a little bit just to sort of ease it in that direction. And then just gently folding and watching how it folds and making sure that the point is in the corner or into the opening, and folding it down. Now this one I tore a little tiny bit. I don't think it's going to affect it too much, but by the time we're finished decorating these things, you won't see that. There we go. So again, once you've folded it down and you've got it flat, just take your bone folder and press it out flat. And there you go. You have a bag flip out. Is that a good name? Bag flip out? If you guys got a better name for it, by all means share it, and we will call it, we'll come up with a general name for it. We should call it the Diane flip out. Hey Diane, it's the Diane flip out. There we go. We've given it a name. So now comes the decorating possibilities. And again, they are endless. Now I see that I haven't quite folded this straight, so I'm just going to fold it a little bit. See if I can line that up just a little bit and pinch it. There we go. So it may take a few times to get used to folding these, and I've only done a handful, maybe about 7 or 8. But once you get going, it's pretty easy to fold. So when I say that the possibilities of decorating this are endless, it really is, because as long as you stay within the line of this fold without going over, as far as the gluing part, and anything that you want to glue down, and as long as you stay in this section here where it does not affect the opening or closing of the bag, you can do all kinds of fun things. So it can be as simple as putting 2 discs on here to create a tab style of opening. You can use a couple of butterflies, and you know I always have a pile of those handy. So just to show you, you can glue butterflies down here and open it up like that. You can ink stamp on here. You can collage on top of here, and we're going to do all of those things. But so you have this part, and now it's what to do, and we're going to come back to this, but now it's what to do with the rest of the bag. And the first thing that comes to mind when I looked at the bag is, okay, it's open on both sides now, so I can collage this closed with a little bit of paper, book page or anything, or glue just to close it, or stitch across the bottom, and I can fold it up and instantly make a gusseted pocket, like a pocket here, and then a gusset style of bag, like a French fry bag, or like the bags we made, the bag pockets, or the gusseted pockets, because the gusset is right there. I can leave this open, just glue the 2 sides down, and then have a double gusset pocket. But to me, this seems a little bit too open. So I don't know that would make a great holder. And the other thing that I don't like about it is that it's kind of flimsy as a single layer. So I find that it would not be, it would tear very easily. I think you'd have to really collage a lot on it to give it more strength. And like I said, I think the bag is just a little too open and too loose looking to make a pocket. So if anything, I would close it and then glue it up against this one and have just a single pocket here that you would slip something into it, like a Diane flip could go right in there. Or the Diane flip could go at the back of this part of the bag. So one way or another, you would have a pocket there that's quite open that you can put a lot of stuff in, and then a second little pocket. So that's how one way of how you can use the leftover bag. You can also use the leftover bag to do to glue on the back of journal cards so that you have nice writing space on the back of journal cards. You can cut this up for making scrappy notebooks. Or you can turn it into little paper bags, which is what I was going to show you how to do today. So in order to do the little paper bags, you have to kind of decide what size of bag you want to make. And in this case, I'm going to make really tiny ones. So I'm just going to fold this in half. And I'm going to just take my bone fold just so I get a good fold on here, just to have a marking for cutting. And so I'm going to just cut it in half. You can again use your paper cutter if it's handy. I don't have mine handy. And then I'm going to open this up. And it doesn't matter where you open it up. I'm just going to pick one side and tear it open. This would also be great for doing like a collage snippet roll, like a paper roll. So there's possibility there as well. But I want to make paper bags out of this. And depending on the size of bag you want to make, you can get many or as you like out of this. So I'm thinking that a paper bag about this size, which I don't have a, oh yeah, I do have a rule here. Okay, so it's about 3 inches across. And it's almost 4 inches high, what I've cut here. So I can just cut this paper because it got folded over. So I can just cut this to size. Now it's going to be a little bit smaller than what I just measured, but I'm going to flip one little piece over and fold it. So you can see I just did about 1/2 inch a fold down. And then I'm going to take the other side and fold it right up to that fold. So this will be where I glue the bag closed on the back side. Okay, now I didn't cut that perfectly straight, but we can fix that after. Or maybe I didn't fold it perfectly straight. There we go. So that is how I would glue the bag closed. And then along the bottom, you want to have a closure here. You can either collage over top to close it with some other paper. You can use washi tape, or you can fold it up and glue it folded up. So I'm going to fold this up about the same, about 1/2 inch up along the bottom. And you can see the fold there. Now I haven't glued this yet. So I've got the fold at the top, if you can see that there. And all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it as if I were making a tag, you know, a shipping tag. So from where this fold is, and I know there's lots of folds in here because of the bag itself. You could iron this if you wanted to, but for the most part, it's pretty easy to figure out. So where this is folded is where I'm going to start in the corner and do a little snip to make it look like a shipping tag, as if you were making a tag. And then I'm going to do the same on this side, cutting it from here into the corner. So now you would just glue it up. But if you look at this, there's 2 layers here. You don't need this layer because it's going to have, then you'd have to glue that down and then this down on top. And then you got this little bit here from the flap. The gluing flap that we made. So you don't need this and you don't need the inside one. So we're going to just cut that out. So I'm going to open this up and cut this one out because this is the inside one. And while I'm at it, I'll cut off oh, here's the flap at this end. Okay, so I'm going to cut off this because it's the inside one. We don't need it. I'm just going to cut it straight across the bottom. We've already angle cut it, so we know it's not going to have any interference. And then I'm going to cut that little floppy bit that was left over on the bottom. And once you do one of these, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about if this is a first for you. So then bringing the bag back down, this was the little flap that we're going to glue closed. Here is the bag that we're gluing up to that fold. And there is your little bottom. Yeah, look at that, a little bottom. Wouldn't we all like to have little bottoms? At least I would like to have a little bottom. So now taking my glue, this is going to be ready, right? I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of glue on here. Oh my goodness, it's actually ready. And I'm going to close it for now, which is something I never do when I'm by myself, but for you, I will do that. And then taking the other end, I'm going to glue it over that flap. And then taking my glue again. And it's ready to go again in my handy little holder. And I'm going to glue it closed. Oop, oop. And I now have this cute little paper bag that I can use in my journal. I can glue it down and then have an instant little pocket, or I can have these just loose tucked into a pocket as an additional little spot to have stuff. You can collage on here, you can ink stamp it, you can decorate it however you want. And this does have a straight edge across the top. You can make these edges fancy if you've got the fancy deckled edge scissors. So I just happen to have a pair of those here handy. You can use anything. Pinking shears, you could tear it with a ruler to give it a rough edge. You can leave it as it is. It's entirely up to you, but I'm just going to take a little trimming off the top. Now some of you have those postage scissors or pinking shears. I didn't even do a great job of that. There we go. So now I have a deckled edge little paper bag that is ready to decorate. And that is only a little portion of this bag that of the top. And there's still the very top of the bag. So there's a lot of opportunities for making bags. So another bag that I thought I would show you to make, and I'm not going to use this whole thing, but you can continue on after me. And you can make them long and skinny. You can make them, short. You can make little tiny ones. You can, again, use this as the back for collaging, for making a journal card. You can use this for scrappy papers to put in your little mini journals. So there are lots of uses for this. So don't throw any of this in the garbage. My dog is barking at something outside. But I'm going to make the same little bag. Now you see, I probably could make two out of here. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to tear this right where it's folded here, so that I'll be able to get two little bags. Now, on this bag, I'm going to fold over that little 1/2 inch flap, like so. Okay. And then I'm going to fold this, instead of to glue it onto the flap, I'm going to fold it to glue into the flap. So this flap is going to be loose, and we're going to close the bag. But if I do that, it's going to have this kind of a rough looking edge here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a small fold on the other side as well. So I have two folds. One on this side that I'm going to leave out, and then this one. And again, I know it's a wrinkled bag, but you can sort of see what I'm doing, I think. So now I'm going to take this folded part and fold it up to the inside of this little floppy piece, and I'm going to make my bag from here. And the reason I'm doing that is now you can use this as a flip on a journal page. Do I have something? Here we go. I've got an envelope here. So you would glue this flap down, and now this little brown paper bag can flip out. It's going to be glued down to the other side of the page, and you can decorate it up a little bit if you want. and it will fold in and out and be sitting on top of your page. So it can hold something inside of it, as well as leave the hidden writing spot underneath, and as well leave your whole page free, so that you can use the entire page and just have this little flip out paper bag. So we're going to do it exactly the same way. We've just had the two flaps. We folded one and then the other about the same size. And then instead of folding both in, this one you're going to leave out, and you're going to fold this up to without going over that other one so that it can freely move. And before you glue it, we want to do the bottom the same way that we did the other bag, and that's to fold up a 1/2 inch approximately. And the same thing. Now, when you go to glue this shut, you don't need this little piece that's on the swinging part of your flip, right? The hinge part of your flip. So that gets cut out. You don't need this inside fold. So that's going to get cut out. And you don't need that other little bit that we folded over on the other flap. So that's going to get cut out. But the first way and easiest way to do this is to first cut out the hinge little square that's at the bottom. So if you can see what I mean here by this, when I folded this up, you have this little square piece. So we're going to cut that out first. And when you do these, you know, some of you are seasoned. You've made enough envelopes and bags. You'll know exactly what it is I'm doing, and you'll just go about your method of doing this. So once we've cut that little piece out, we can still consider this like a shipping tag. And because we've made the fold here, we're going to go from the corner up and then down to the corner on that side. Take those out. And so you can see, aside from the little hinge, it looks just like a shipping tag that you would make a tag from. And then when you flip it over, you've got the piece that's going to glue, that's going to go up. So you don't need the inside flap, or do you need that little inside little bit that was left over on that flap? So you're going to cut that off. Does that make sense, everybody? I hope so. And so now when we glue this closed, you will only have the one flap to glue up, and you will have this hinge that moves freely to create a flip out bag. So let's start by gluing it. Now, I don't need to tell you or show you how to decorate paper bags, but if we have time at the end, I will at least do one with you, because I did bring out stuff to do the one bag or so. So here I've just glued the flap down, so the bag is now closed, but this is still available to hinge it and put it into the journal. And then I've got this little piece here to close up the bottom that looks like the top of a shipping tag. And my bag is ready to go, except that, again, if you want a deckled edge, I don't want to decal this part of it. So in order to avoid that, I will probably cut off the decal once the bag is cut. Mind you, it might not look that bad. And so there is my little brown paper bag, ready to be decorated any way I like. And I have this little flip. Yeah, it's not so bad to have that little edge up there done. But you can also just take your scissors and trim it out straight. Or on a curve, or on a angle like I did. So this would now glue on the back side of your page that you want it to sit on. And you have this little envelope that flips out that you can decorate, you can fill with all kinds of things. And, you know, maybe you want to have a thumb notch in there. You know, everybody's different. Maybe you want to put a little half circle thumb notch or cut a little rounded shape to make it look round. That's entirely up to you. But this is just the option to do a flip out with your bag so that it is free flowing and doesn't interfere with the page. And then on this side where you've got the little piece glued down, you can also build on top of that or collage or do some washi tape or something to hold it in place. So that's the little bags. And like I said, when we have a few minutes, if we have a few minutes at the end, I will decorate one because I did bring out stuff to show you how I was going to decorate them. And look at that. I'm just going to put all that in the garbage right beside me. Okay, it's the small things in life, right? So here's where the decorating comes with this piece here. And I started playing around doing different things. And so I started decorating this one. And so I will continue on this one yet with you. And so you can see I've added some collage elements by using some tissue paper here to collage. You could use napkins. You can use anything you want. And I've done some ink staining along the edges. And I started to put this collage piece on top. And so this is what's going to open up the bag by holding onto the collage and opening up the bag. So I started out with a piece of tissue. I'm going to do this one exactly the same way. So the first thing I did is I inked up the edges. Now, when you go to ink up the edges, you kind of have to maneuver it a little bit and get your fingers underneath to not get ink everywhere. And this is not a very juicy ink pad, and so I'm just using it as a distresser or whatever. And I'm just inking the corners of this and across the top, and then I'm going to do the side of the bag. And again, this little corner. And that corner. Where it got tricky was doing this part. So you kind of have to open the bag a little bit if you're an inker. I mean, not everybody does inking, and that's fine too. And I just kind of brushed it along the edge as best as I could. And inked up that fold a little bit, just so it was a little bit more defined. And you're going to find that the first few times you have to keep opening and readjusting this fold as you go along, but eventually it softens up enough that it folds back into place quite easily. And then I just want to ink on the outside edges, so I'm just taking the ink and going along the edges here. And along the top a little bit on both sides. And if you are an inker, you'll find that any flaws will not be as noticeable once you've done some inking, because it just looks like part of the distressed process. It really doesn't look out of line or out of whack too much once you've done it. So once that part was done, I just took my tissue paper. Now this is just tissue from a sheet. Here's the full-size sheet. And I just tore off little strips. Like I said, you can use napkin, you can use book pages, you can use whatever you like or have. I just love working with this stuff. I sell this tissue in my web shop. And I just tear off what I want in strips. It tears very nicely one way and not so nice the other way. It chops up the other way, but it's all tissue and napkins are like that. So then I just found a piece that reasonably fit, and you can go under this piece, but you don't want to go across that fold, because if you try to glue on there, then your bag is not going to open. So I just kind of worked in the space I had, knowing that I was going to tuck a little bit underneath. And that's a little bit wide, so I'll go to this part here. And so I've got 2 pieces that I'm just putting here. And like I said, napkins works fine, book pages, whatever you want. And taking my glue stick, I'm just going to... The nice thing about tissue is you can glue on it and then apply it to the item you want to put. Napkins, not so much. Napkins are a little bit more tearable. Like they tear very easy. And I'm just laying that on here, knowing that I'm going to flip that up and put this down further. It's so strange to work with a bag. It's so soft. And then doing the same on this side. Oop. Just because you're watching, right? And I'm just going to slide that in there. Okay, I think that's about all I need this glue pad for. Oh, no, wrong. I did have an ink stamp here somewhere on the table, and I inked along the edges of the paper. And I don't know why, I tend to use the same ink pad or the ink stamp all the time when it comes to collaging. So I'm just lifting this up a little bit with my finger just so I can get into that corner a little bit. And I just inked over top. And it's really not to be able to read the writing, or it's just to create a little bit of dimension and make you see a little bit of, you know, different layers of the process. It's really not for the purposes of actually reading or seeing the design. But if you wanted to do that with your other stamps, by all means, you certainly can. I'm just creating, like I said, filling in the space a little bit more, knowing that most of it is going to be covered. And if you want to ink on the tops and bottoms of these things, then you might want to slip a little piece of paper underneath. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to put this in the corner so I know that it's not going to ink stamp on there. I don't do any fancy stamping. I used to, and I really should do more because I have the stamps. I have no shortage of stamps. It's just, it hasn't been top of the line to do that. I don't know. And so now I've inked the bottom flap there. And then I'm going to do the same on the top. Hope this is the right way. No, it's not. And putting it in that corner. And now the whole thing has got a little bit of ink on it. So then I wanted to use this ribbon because it was on my desk, and lately it's like, if I can get something off my desk, I'm going to. So I wanted to use this ribbon as part of the closure, but I didn't want to go over the same tissue that I just put down here. And like I said, you can extend as far as you want. You can go way out on all 4 sides, as long as you don't glue these flaps down to the bag, and as long as you don't glue this part down to here. So in order to extend this so that you can actually see the bag and see more of the how it opens, I had to go a little bit past, and I was concerned with this ribbon being not enough to hold this in place. So I grabbed some lace, and I was going to put this underneath it, just like that, to give it a little bit more stability. But then I realized again that I was covering up the whole part of what I just put down. So I decided to put the lace on this side of the bag. So first I'm going to cut it just slightly larger, not much, than the ribbon itself. And so because I know that I want it to stick out about, you know, that much. And it's really, like I said, to hold the ribbon in place. If you can see how I did this one. So the ribbon does go over top. I'm only really showing a few of the little eyelet holes in there, but it just gives a little bit more stability. So it is glued on this side of the envelope or the bag. So once I knew where I wanted this ribbon to sit, then I just lifted it up and stuck this back under the bag. So it's between the bag flap and the bottom of the bag. So you could do this with book page as well. You could do it with anything that you wanted to create a little bit of stability on another piece. And so then I just took my hot glue and just drizzled a little bit of glue to hold it in place. So that's now holding this in place, and it is stuck to, sure, Kim, put it on straight first, right? Oop. There we go. And so it is glued down. Oop. Be careful of the holes, Kim. To the bag without interfering with the bag. So I can still open this up and it doesn't interfere with the bag itself. So now I can go back on this side and finish gluing it down. And because this is the underside of the bag, I'm really not too worried. You can decorate these up further, you know, on all sides if you want to. But this just now holds it in place. I see there's one little spot here where I can put that glue because I tore it off of that edge there. And making sure I haven't glued it to the bag, which I haven't. Okay, so that's sitting there nice and flat. I'm going to get this out of the way again so that you have a better view. And then I took my ribbon and I did want to extend it. I didn't want a lot of the lace to show through. I just wanted it to give a little bit of stability and still not cover up all of the collage that I had already put on here. And so taking my hot glue, just going to run a little bit. You don't, I mean, you could staple this too. You really don't need to hot glue it. I'm just doing it because my glue is handy. And I'm just going to glue that down over top. And then somewhere on the table here in the pile, I have more of those little ladies. Where did you guys go? Here you are. And these are on my coffee side. I believe they're in the free. Oh, there is one already cut out. Oh, well, I'll use this one. I believe that they're in the free section. And if they're not, there are other images that you can use as well. You may have some in your own stash and collection that you can use. And I just inked her up a little bit. And you can again glue her down however you like. See, I already didn't close my glue and put the cap on it. So yeah, we have a little bit of training to do here. And then I'm just going to take my glue gun and put a little bit of glue on here. And glue her down. Now you can see how easy that is. And this now gives you a glued piece. There we go. But this gives you something very stable and very much that you can tell is a tab that you can pull this open to see what's inside the bag. So inside, the sky is the limit there as well. You want it to be reasonably flat, but you can put something this large in there, or you can have something further folded up inside and make people work for it to see a little bit more. Now I'm going to go back and decorate the other side with more of these images. I do have another lady here and another one here, so that I can have two of these when I'm done. But I'm not going to waste too much time doing that part of it now, because you get the general idea. But if you have some lace, you can decorate the tops of this with some lace, or the bottoms as well. You can add a butterfly and a piece of lace. So the butterfly can extend further past your piece, as long as you don't glue it down other than the little triangle shape, so that it does not interfere. And I'm just going to hold this in place to show you, so that it does not interfere with you opening the bag. So it can extend. You can have tassels, you can have trims, you can do all kinds of collage on this little piece. You can put a cluster down here. You can have 4 different clusters on this one little paper bag. Whatever you want, as long as you stay within gluing on these 2 flaps, not gluing this triangle down in any way, and that you glue on the top of the triangle, but not extending past that unless it runs free. So for example, you could have this butterfly up here, and it can go past the bag as long as the glue only goes up to the edge of that triangle. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. And so then you can open it up. So then while I was working on this, and that's why I had to stop the video, or stop thinking about this, because the more I kept thinking about it, the more I was like, well, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. And then I thought, well, I'm never going to get this done. So I figured I'll just do a little bit and then show you as I go along. So I have another one cut here, because I just kept playing and playing and playing. And then I thought, what if you took playing cards? And so I have 2 playing cards here. You can still decorate this up the way you want, but these can be glued in right up to that line, the opening line. And so you can make sort of like a set of doors. So you can do anything you want as far as a set of doors. And then watch, when you open it up, it's like, oh, yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. This is a new bag, so it doesn't quite fold as nicely. But if you just glue these down to the pieces that are loose, without gluing over top or stapling or whatever, 2 playing cards, whether they match or don't match or whatever you choose, can be tacked down here to create tabs for opening your little journal, your little, what did we say? Diane flip. I can't remember. The Diane flip. I'll have to go back to the beginning of the video to see what we call it. But yeah, so there's all kinds of things that you can glue down. You can cover this in lace and fabric. You can completely cover it in fabrics so that you can't even really tell that it's an opening, and then just have some little tab or ribbon or something to create a little opening for it. And these will open up this way into the bag, of course, but then when you fold it back down, and once you maneuver them more, they move much easier. So that is one of the projects for this week. That and the little brown paper bags. So just to show you what this would look like with this on the top. So this could even be a really cute topper on a journal on the cover, you know, a little bit more decorated, of course. And then, you know, it can have, you know, notes about the journal. It could have little secret information. If you sell your journals, it might be a great place to put your artist information in here, or business cards and stuff. So lots of options that way. And because this isn't going to be glued down to the journal itself, just the back side, you still have the option to make this into a fancy pocket where you can tuck from the top, or make it into a belly band where you have the belly band from the side. And depending on the size of your book, you can even have it go this way so that your book opens like that, or your bag opens like that. So it depends on the size of your journal, the size of the bag, and the size of the elements that you use for decorating. So again, to give you an idea, that's what this one looks like now, but by the time I'm finished, like I'm going to have some roses on here. I've got some die cuts of roses to put on and other little embellishment things. So there'll be lots of fun decorations to go in here. And already this is, you know, from playing with it and refolding and unfolding it, it's starting to flow much better. So once it's glued down, it's going to be a great embellishment on a page. So I've done those. And then I said if we had a few minutes, I would just decorate a bag with you. And now these were some that I made that were a little bit bigger. And I don't know where all the elements are that I had for these. Yeah, these were ones I cut a little bit larger. So it's the same idea, just a different size. And I had some images. Don't look at her. She's showing off a little bit more than what we need to see. But I'm going to just quickly glue her down and cover her up so you don't have to see anything you don't want to see. So taking my glue stick, and I'm just gluing right onto the bag itself. It doesn't really matter. It will dry and you won't notice it when I'm done. Okay, I'm going to glue her because I just played around with this already, covering everything up. And I had this cluster. This, I think I'll use my white glue. Hopefully it'll work for me. Yeah. And I'm just going to glue that over her a little bit so you still see her. And I know we made these clusters in another at another time. And then I had this little sticker that I said would look really cute on here too. So I'm just going to add this on. And just tucking that in a little bit. And this is one I made with the little hinge flap. So this will hinge onto a book page. And just lightly inking up the edges. I'm not going to go as far as ink stamping on here, but just enough to give you an idea. And so this will sit on a book page, and it will have a flap to flip it open. So I'm just going to pick a page. I'm not going to actually glue it today because I don't know if that's where I want to put it. But this purple page looks good. And yeah, and so I would just stick it on the edge here, glue it down. It has no effect on the page itself once it opens up. It's a great place to tuck some extra ephemera or other interesting pieces in here, like a journaling card. It has the flap is glued to the other side of the page, so I can still decorate on that page or do something to further hold this down just a little bit more. And then again, you know, maybe some washi tape or some type of decorative paper to cover it so that you don't see that little flap, but then it's loose in the book. So that's it for today's video. I hope you got lots out of that you have something to play with. The new Diane flip is what we're going to call it. I'll just get them because I'm going to further play with these on my own. But I could have her sitting there and the paper bag. and butterflies and all kinds of fun things that can be added onto these labels, stickers. I could go on and on, so I better stop now. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon. I wish you all a very creative day and a creative week. Stay tuned for later this week will be my Thrifty Canucks, and I've got another little video that I'm slipping in between. It should come either shortly after this one today or maybe on Wednesday, at the end of Wednesday. So again, I wish you all a creative week, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now.